Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
You are listening to the Brilliance Business Show. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. Conversations with leading experts in business. And today I have an amazing guest, Daniel Char, the Power Broker. And our topic today is Get into a Power Room. Daniel, welcome to the Brilliance Business Show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me over, Mark. Really appreciate it. I'm very excited.
I'm looking forward to a conversation with you today, Daniel. Before I get started, I just need to make a legal disclaimer that Daniel is not offering legal advice or legal assistance. So let's get started with the show. Daniel, can you share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and your business?
Absolutely. So I've been in the finance industry now about 14 years now. Started off in the banking sector and then eventually getting let go. I thought it was a very safe and secure job. It was super safe and super secure until it wasn't. And then finally, I went into becoming a mortgage agent, and that's where I really took a new turn in my life. So that was my self-employed era of selling mortgages, helping people refinance their homes, getting them the money to buy their dream homes. And I struggled a bit for the first couple of years. And then it was the third year where I really, really did well. And that's where I really employed some of the tactics that I'm using today to help my clients and business professionals get to the next level. Key part of that is networking. So I started to network very, very heavily. I've been to over 100 networking events at that time. Today, I'm probably close to over 500 networking events that I've been to. And basically, it's getting into really great rooms, big rooms with millionaires, billion-dollar rooms. And that's what really pushed me to the next level. So here I am today. I'm a mortgage broker. We funded quite a bit of business volume, and right now we're turning to a new venture in my business where I want to set up these rooms, because what I've noticed is I've been going to a lot of rooms, and some rooms are better than others, but there's not a real great consistency. And what I mean by this is anybody who's been to a networking event can vouch that when you go to a free event, you get all different types of people. You get a lot of people who are brand new in their business or super experienced in their business, but everybody's just pitching you. Everybody's trying to sell you their products or services. And what I found out was that's not the room that I wanted to be in. I wanted to be in a real mastermind where people are open to helping you. They're not just trying to sell you stuff. So at that point, when I started to spend a little bit more money and get into more expensive rooms, and I started to avoid the free rooms, I noticed my income started to climb up. So that's what I'm trying to provide right now in my business, to create the perfect environment for business owners to take them to the next level.
What I like about that, where you said everything was okay until it wasn't okay, and that really took you out of your comfort zone, but then it transformed you into what you're doing now. And Daniel, that is incredible. 500 networking events. You are a true champion at networking, aren't you?
Yeah, I just came off a plane this morning. I went to an event called WEN Global, Wealthy Entrepreneurs Network Global, and that's hosted by one of the speakers at our next event, is by Steve Lowell and Jane Lowell, and that was in Ottawa. So I actually flew down to Ottawa for one day, had an amazing time, and met a lot of people, new people, and reconnected with our our usual suspects, I call them, like Sunil Tosiani, Cora Cristobal, which you know, and basically just flew back this morning. So in this 1 week, I've already been to 3 events. So I try to get into at least 1 room a week. So the minimum I would be in an event would be 1 a week. So that's 52 minimum a year.
That is true commitment. Now, Daniel, can you tell me, who are your customers? What kind of clients do you serve?
So in my mortgage business, I work with all types of ranges of clientele that's looking for financing. So I work with people who are trying to buy their first home, or they already have a home and they're trying to get to the next level. They're trying to invest and buy an investment property. I also work with clients who may have to consolidate debt. They got themselves in a little bit of trouble with credit cards or line of credit payments, and they're just up to their neck with debt. And what I do is I relieve that debt, because the market's been very good in the last 10 years in real estate. So most of my clients, they don't realize that they have a lot of equity in their house, and they don't need to go and claim bankruptcy. They don't need to file a proposal. All we have to do is take out the debt, all we have to do is take out the equity to pay off the debt that they currently have. And their credit card debts right now are around the 20% mark, and mortgages are around 3%. So what I have to do is I just have to refinance their home and pay off their very expensive credit cards, and then they're in a very good position again in their lives. So that's one aspect. I also work with investors. Investors who they got a couple properties now, and they're trying to scale or go to the next level again, but now they're trying to become the bank. So what I mean by that is I help my clients lend money out like the bank in a very safe and secure fashion. And that's what I typically do as a mortgage broker. But I just launched my new system, which is the Power Broker Network. And that is basically my new venture right now, where I want to create $1 million rooms, $1 billion rooms, and have people come to us and network like true champions. Because what I want to do right here is create the perfect environment in a consistent fashion where everybody knows what to expect when they come into a networking event, and we have a system. And I think that's the biggest issue when it comes to running a business. Most businesses do not have a system, and that's why most of them fail. And most businesses don't operate like a business. They operate like a charity, and that's why they fail. So in the Power Broker Network, that's where we train entrepreneurs or even people who are looking to start a business. We train them in how to start and operate a successful business.
What I like about what you do, Daniel, debt can really hold people back. A few years ago, I made one of the biggest decisions of my life, and that was to sell my home. And Daniel, I had made that home like a show home. I'd had a new driveway, new kitchen, new bathroom, landscapers in the garden to make the garden nice. But I was going to bed at night worrying about debt. I lived alone in a 3-bedroom house, semi-detached house. And once I sold that property, I made quite a lot of money from selling the house, got rid of all my debts. I could then sleep at night. I know yours is slightly different. You say that you help people to keep their homes and take the equity out. In my case, I had to sell my home, and that was a big decision to make. But I know what it feels like to go to bed worrying about bills, worrying about debt, and the fact that you help your clients to remove those worries, that must be really satisfying.
Absolutely. I love it. A typical client of mine is over the age of 55. So they're getting ready for retirement. And you and I know that money never stops. It doesn't matter what age you get to. Like even if your income starts to diminish, your expenses don't diminish because inflation is only climbing up. Property prices are going up, gas prices going up, grocery prices are going up. You still have to live, right? So what I notice is that a lot of times I have my clients that they live off their credit cards, and the reason why they live off of it is because they didn't have a choice. Their income is capped at whatever it is, but all the other prices keep climbing. So they become dependent on the credit cards. And what happens is when you start using your credit cards, it's like a vicious cycle. When you start using your credit cards and you pay it off, the credit card companies love that. So they give you more money. and then
Yes.
so a $10,000 limit becomes a $20,000 limit, becomes a 30, 40, 50. And then sometimes we have it's human nature to get tempted, right? So we can only be so disciplined for a short or specific amount of time. But eventually, you're going to fall into the pits and say, you know what, I really want to buy that nice pair of shoes. I want to buy that car, right? And we see that with our clients. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just human nature. But when that happens, you get into a really bad, nasty, vicious cycle where now you got a $20,000 credit card maxed out, paying 20% interest. And now new credit card companies start introducing you more credit at 0% or 1%. And what they do is they give you these new credit cards at 1%, but only for a limited amount of time. They say, hey, if you transfer all your debt from our competitor and you give us that debt, we will pay off all that debt and we'll only charge you 1%. Here's a caveat. It's only for 6 months. It's only for 9 months, right? So when our customers, they look at that, they're like, wow, I'm paying 20% and XYZ company is giving me a new credit card and they're going to only charge me 1%. That sounds like a really good deal. But they don't look at the disclosure saying that it's only for 6 months or it's only for 9 months. Eventually, it's going to climb right back to 20%. So when they do that, now they're holding on to 2 credit cards. and I had a client who actually did that cycle for 2 years. They lived off of credit cards for 2 years. And just opening new introductory rates at 1%, and that they had a debt from $70,000 and then climbed all the way to $200,000 over 2 years.
That is a lot of debt.
That's a lot of debt on credit cards at 20%. But here's the best part. I got this client from a bankruptcy specialist, and they analyzed the file and they said, wow, you own a house. How much is your mortgage? And the mortgage was, I believe at the time, was only $260,000. And they owed about $200,000. But when I did a search on their house was worth about $650,000 or $700,000. There was a lot of equity. So I said, why don't we do this? Instead of going through all that nasty stuff like trying to go through bankruptcy or a proposal or whatnot, which is going to destroy your credit, which right now they have good credit. They're paying their stuff, the minimum payment, so their credit's still intact. When you go through bankruptcy or proposal, you destroy your credit. So I said, instead of doing that, why don't we just pay everything off with the equity of your house? And so that's what we did. We refinanced the house. There was tons of equity, and we paid off that 20% credit card amount, and we only had them in, I think it was around 10% or 11%. It was still high, but it was half price. And the reason why it was still high was because we had to do something called a second mortgage. They were locked into a long-term mortgage in first position, and it would just cost too much money to break that. So that's why we decided to go through the second route. And then also the client was not working. They didn't have an income. So we had to go through something called a private lender. So a lender that would actually lend money to someone with no income. As long as you had equity, that they would lend. So we got these guys consolidated. We prepaid their mortgage for a whole year. So that means that this client did not have to worry about a single mortgage payment for a whole 12 months. And we wiped out all their credit cards.
So that has really given them a second chance to really start again, no worries, and start to rebuild and really start to get back on track. That's incredible, Daniel. Daniel, do you recall a specific aha moment that led to the launch of your business?
The Power Broker Network or the mortgage broker side?
The start of your entrepreneurial journey where you went into business and started to be the success that you are, was there a real ha-ha moment to that?
Oh, you know what? I've always loved business. I've always been an entrepreneur from day one. When I was a kid, I had this yo-yo business. You know, back in the day in the 90s, yo-yos made a comeback, and then they weren't just the regular yo-yos. These were like high-tech yo-yos that had like clutches and springs in them. And when I was in school, I started a yo-yo fixing business, like a repair business. And I would charge my classmates $1 to WD-40 their yo-yo so that when they throw it down, it would stay down, and then they can do tricks with it. That was like my first business. And then from there on, I started to enter rooms. I used to go to a lot of networking meetings, I think even at the age of 14, 15. So I was very young. I was always the youngest guy in a room. And I was always inspired by people who are doing well or starting new projects. So I thought that was a very good place to be in. When I'm always attending events, I wanted to start my own events and then help people out and get them to the next level.
What really motivates you to jump out of bed every single morning?
That's a good one. You know what? I think it's just chasing that goal. I love setting really, really, really big goals. And every time I wake up and I slay the day, I know I'm getting closer and I'm getting closer. And it's like a deal, right? Like we're going to be speaking at the Grant Cardone Canadian Wealth Summit with Kevin Hart and Grant Cardone, Jerry D, Kevin Harrington, Sunil Tosi. Like, this is a big, massive stage at the Roy Thomson Hall in Toronto. There's going to be 2,400 people. This is a massive stage. Now, when I signed up to speak on this event, I think I've been only sleeping, 5-6 hours a day, because every day when I wake up, I know that I got to deliver on this stage. I have to give people value on this stage, because there's going to be a lot of people who spent really good money to go there, and they expect something. And so my goal is to deliver results. So no matter what the goal is, no matter what the project is, that's what gets me up in the morning, by setting a big target that I don't think that I can even handle, and just seizing every opportunity to get closer to the goal and then dominate.
Great answer. And I really like dominate at the end as well. And having goals too is very, very important. So that is what I would like to talk about next, Daniel. Grant Cardone, Kevin Hart, Sunil Tosi, Kevin Harrington, Jerry D, along with Daniel Char and many, many other amazing speakers, 21st and 22nd in Toronto. Incredible. You are speaking at this event. I'm actually attending the event, which I am so excited. And I agree with you totally, Daniel, getting into the right rooms. I recently upgraded my ticket to a platinum to be with the top entrepreneurs and networking with great people. I want to know, what are you speaking about at this event?
So I'm going to be speaking about how do you take away the emotions when it comes to investing? Because here's the thing. I work with a lot of real estate investors, and in a room of, let's say, 100 people, I would say, who here is looking for money for real estate or your business? And out of 100 people, 90% or 90 of them would actually raise up their hands, and they would say, yes, I'm looking for money. Then I would say, who here has $1 million or more, and you're looking for the perfect deal to invest in? And the other 10 would actually raise up their hand. And that's what it is. 90% of the people in a room are looking for money. They're looking for financing. And 10% of the room have the money. But here's the thing. Nobody knows where to get the money. and I had that same problem when I started in my journey a few years ago, because when I was looking for money for real estate, I was looking at the wrong areas. It's not that there's no money. It's just you gotta find money or look for money at the right areas. You will not find $1 million from somebody else who's looking for the same $1 million. You gotta just ask, who's got the $1 million? So I think a lot of investors overcomplicate the whole financing process by saying, I just can't get deals approved. I can't find people to lend me money. And I think a big part of it is they're looking at the wrong place. They're going to people who are also looking for money. And step one, which I will mention on March 21st, is step one to finding or raising capital is identifying, first of all, who's got the money, right? That's part one. You got to identify who's got the money. Once you identify who's got the money, that's when you can start pitching. And I find that many investors or business owners, they spend a lot of their time pitching their deals or their projects to the wrong people. And there's nothing wrong with pitching. You got to pitch, right? But you got to pitch to the right crowd. So you're not going to find $1 million with another guy who's looking for the same $1 million as you. You got to just say, who's got money? Who's looking for investments? I got a deal. And that would save you 90% of your time of looking for financing. Then the next part I have is step two is, what is a good deal? Because finding the guy with the money is part one. Now you got to start vetting the deal and show the people who's going to fund your project, fund your business, fund your real estate portfolio. You got to show them that it's a good deal. But most of the times when I see a deal presented to me, it's not a good deal. It's too high of a risk. There's no the rate of return or the ROI is very low, and most of the times there's no exit strategy. So that's what I'll be speaking at on stage. I'm going to explain what is an exit strategy, because no investor will give you money or fund your project if you cannot provide a very sound exit strategy. And for those of you who don't know what an exit strategy is, an exit strategy tells the guys with the money who's going to fund your project when and how you're going to get your money back. When, like, are you funding the deal for 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years? So when are they going to get their money back, and how? Are you going to sell the property? Are you going to refinance the property? Are you going to bring in partners at the end of the term? So that's what an exit strategy is, telling the investor or the guys with the money who's going to fund your project when and how they're going to get their money back. And that's what I see a lot of times when I'm being pitched deals, that they're pitching me really high risk deals with very low returns, and then they don't have a clear exit strategy to tell me how am I going to get my money back.
I am really looking forward to hearing you speak, Daniel. I'm really excited to meet you in Toronto as well. In your words, Daniel, who should attend this event in Toronto on the 21st of March, the Canadian Wealth Summit?
Okay, so we got different categories. We got people who are, if you're a full-time employee and you're looking to start your business, and you don't know how to start a business, and you don't know if starting a business is right for you. You got to come. That's part one. Then we got the people who are already in business and they're flatlined. So they could have been in business for 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and they're making the same money for the last couple of years, and they don't know how to get to the next level. These guys got to come. Then the third category is the people who are looking for financing or they got deals and they need capital, because this is the cheapest way to get into a room of billion-dollar investors. Like I think the cheapest ticket is $100. And it doesn't matter which ticket you really buy. You just got to come to the event, because being in the same room as 2,400 people where a good portion of them have the money that you're looking for, it's going to take you to the next level already. That just by being in the right environment. That's step one. Step two is if you can afford it, I would say upgrade. Because every time you upgrade your ticket, you get to a closer seating arrangement. You're going to get to the next tier where you can get to the exclusive networking event. And when you get to the exclusive networking event, that's where you can actually meet Kevin Hart, Kevin Harrington, Grant Cardone, Jerry D. You can actually meet the guys with the money. And now you just saved yourself a whole lot of trouble and a lot of time for searching for money, because the only people who are going to be in the room are going to be people who have capital. The only people who would be in a room with these guys are the ones who can afford to pay that $1,000 plus range for a 1 day or 2 day event, right? So you would eliminate a lot of time for searching for the right partner or investor for your projects by just being in the right area, the right room, and having the right ticket.
I would also add, if you're an entrepreneur, a small business owner, author, coach, speaker, you should be at this event. Real estate investors, you want to earn more money, you must be in this room full of top leading experts. Now, Daniel, I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the Canadian Wealth Summit. That is on the 21st, 22nd of March. I know how incredible this event is going to be. Kevin Hart, Grant Cardone, Kevin Harrington, Sunil Tulsiani, also the amazing Daniel Char. This event is really the place to be. I would like to know, Daniel, can you share a little bit more detail on the kind of services and products that you offer?
Absolutely. So so in the mortgage side is the purchase mortgages, the refinance mortgages, and also investor deals. So people who have at least $100,000 or more, I can invest their money through real estate and turn them into the bank, earning them at least 6 to 12% interest for a 1 year deal. So that's one component. The Power Broker Network is my own personal networking group, and that's my own mastermind. So that's where we get real estate investors, we get entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, speakers, and what we do is we show them how to operate their business, how to take their business to the next level, how to get on stages, how to write books. That's what we do at the Power Broker Network. Actually, great news. We just signed on Michelle Romano from Dragon's Den, and she will actually be our keynote. We're just finalizing our date, so we're going to have her come in probably at the end of March this year for an amazing conference. And that's where she can, or our guests will have the opportunity to meet and greet with her and have the opportunity to pitch her.
Wow, that's going to be another incredible event that you're involved in, Daniel. Daniel, I have really enjoyed learning about you, your business. I urge our listeners to get to Toronto on the 21st and 22nd of March to see Daniel Char, Grant Cardone, Kevin Harrington, Jerry D, Kevin Hart, Grant Cardone, which I think I have just said, but never mind, Sunil Tulsiani. This event is the place to be. I am sure Daniel can share how we can get hold of tickets. And my last question for you, Daniel, can you share how the audience can connect with you?
Absolutely. So they can go to my website. It's danielchar.com. It's DANIELCHAR.com, danielchar.com. We're going to be putting we have a newsletter there. They can sign up for that newsletter. And then what we can also do is connect at my next event. So I will have a private event on March 29th, and I'll be putting details on my website for that event. So anybody who comes to the Canadian Wealth Summit is invited to my private event on March 29th. And because on March 21st, I only have 20 minutes on stage. So I have 20 minutes to display 14 years of my experience. So I know it's not a lot of time, but if it resonates with any of you of what I say on March 21st in my 20 minutes, please come on down to my private event on March 29th. It's completely free if you connect with me first. These tickets go for $197 if you're at the door. So if you mention Canadian Wealth Summit, we will register you in for free.
Daniel, thank you so much for being my guest today. I've really enjoyed a conversation with you, and I really urge people to check out danielchar.com. Thank you so much, Daniel. I've really enjoyed a conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Mark. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Me too. I'm very, very excited.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.